everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do my update to my pan nose eyeshadows project. This one, I don't even know if I can technically call it a pan nose eyeshadows project. It's more like a pan that palette, but I have two palettes that I'm doing and then I rotate it every month. I have done my own spin on it. I did try to do pan nose eyeshadows properly last year, but I did get into the habit of, I don't know, I guess neglecting the rest of my palettes and I didn't want to do that. So this was a nice way for me to understand my palettes as a whole and really like understand the color stories and the different shades in one palette as opposed to just one shade in a palette. So yeah, I've got my update. I've been working on these two palettes for the last month and it is an exciting update. Obviously I am going to be switching these out, but I do have pans to show you, so I'm super happy and excited. This has definitely been working for me, so whatever I'm doing, it's working because I'm getting pans at least, you know, every month since I've started this, so that's good. And also, yeah, I'm just finding a new appreciation for my eyeshadow palettes. I have overlined my lips, so if you're staring at my lips, please don't. I'm trying the Sosu lipstick in Ti Amo again, and it's much more orange red than I was anticipating when I put it on, and I haven't wiped it off and I went a little bit crazy overlining. So yes, if that is a bit distracting, then I'm sorry, but let's just talk about eyeshadow palettes, shall we? I have been, yeah, as I said, changing this up a little bit. What I do is I have two focus shades in each of the palettes. When I say it's a focus shade, it's more like I want to use the shade a little bit more than everything else. So I put like a target of 5 uses for those focus shades in that palette, but I also want to use every single shade at least once. And I've done that, so that's exciting. And I don't know which one to start with. Let's start with the small one, the small MAC one here. This one is the Star Sighting Compact in Fuschia. This was a Christmas special, I think maybe 3 or 4 years ago now. I put up on a screen what it looked like before, but I definitely had a dip in one of the shades and I was really focusing on that shade quite a lot. But yeah, this is what it looks like now. And I'm super excited. As you can see, I actually do have a pan in that shade. So yeah, that is exciting to me. It took so long. I actually got really frustrated. It is actually a really nice shade. It looks very, very pale here, but it's a really nice transitional sort of mid-tone mauvey rose shade. And I've been moving into a lot of rosy tones this month, so it's been up my alley. So let me go through all the different shades and how many times I use them and if I have anything to say about it. So the first one here is one of my focus shades. It is a beautiful inner corner. I have it on today. It is the perfect inner corner shade for me. I really, really like it. It's also really nice on the lids as well, but it is just a perfect shimmery, beautiful like satin-like finish. It's not too glittery and shimmery because I don't really like that in my inner corner, so it's kind of perfect. I used that one. It was a focus shade, so I had to use it at least 5 times. That was the goal, but I ended up using it, what did I write down? 13 times. 13 times? Yeah, 13 times. I can't see. Yeah, so I used that 13 times this month and there's like nothing. Obviously I don't use too much, mostly in my inner corner, and I don't use like a really, really tiny thin brush. I use one like this. So actually if I probably used a smaller brush, I could have done a little bit better in terms of digging in there, but these pans are so deep. Like this one just took forever. They're really, really packed in there, and I'm not complaining. It's just they're hard shades to pan. So that was a good one because I definitely reached my goal of hitting, using it 5 times for this month. This second one was not a focus shade, but it was a focus shade in my mind because I already had a dip in it and I was like, come on, Gabby, if I'm gonna hit pan in a shade this month, it's gonna be this one. So I kind of forced myself to use it at the end. I was using it really, really like organically at the start, but then when I wasn't hitting pan, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta use this, please, please hit pan. I finally hit pan. I used it 15 times. This one 15 times, and I'd already had it in the pan nose eyeshadows last year, so I couldn't tell you how many times I've actually used it. I did it and I was so excited when I finally hit pan. I was kind of annoyed as well. I was like, oh, finally, there you are. Like I was mad at it because it took so long. That's fine. I'm glad that it got there. I actually really like this palette. It's a palette that I always neglect, but whenever I use it, I actually really enjoy it, and I think the quality is still there. So that was good. The third shade here, I used, how many times? 4 times. So this is a beautiful, just kind of like topper shimmer. It doesn't have too much depth. It has flakes of pink and gold in it. So yeah, that one's pretty. And then this one was the other focus shade that I had in this palette, but I only used it 3 times. I didn't feel like using this one too much, to be honest. I don't know what it was. It's got like an orange shift to it. It's pink, but then it has an orange flip. And I don't know, I just wasn't interested in using it as much as this shade, which I was leaning all of my looks into more mauvey pinks. And this one, because of that flip, it didn't always look good in my opinion. So yeah, that one I didn't focus on at all, but that's fine. I'm really happy that I focused on this one instead. And then this shimmer, this dark shimmer, I only used twice. I find this a little bit hard to use, but I did use it just to deepen out looks. It's quite nice, but you know, it's just a little bit too dark for my liking. It's just not something that I care for. So I just use it kind of like a matte, and it's fine. It is shimmery, but it's not too in your face, so it's workable. And then the black I only used once, just to use it because I didn't really want to use it, but to make sure I used every shade at least once, I used it once, and just to do a liner. But yeah, really happy that I actually hit pan. I did start to think it wasn't going to happen, and I was like, okay, it's not going to happen, but then I hit pan last week, so I was super excited. So yeah, that one is done. I'm going to be rolling that out. So happy about that. Okay, this next palette is the Nomad Cartegena Magica palette. I always butcher that name, so I apologize. And I will put a picture of what it looked like. This is a newer item to me. I got it last year, about mid last year, and I only used it a few times. It is one of my favorite palettes, but I haven't used it too much. It's very, very summery. And once the summer ended, I just really didn't look at it. But there was one shade that had a slight dent to it. So if I was going to hit pan, it would have been that shade. So yes, spoiler alert, I actually did hit pan in it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see. I tried to put the light over here so you could see, but there is a little dip and there is a tiny little speck of pan there, but obviously you'll see it on the picture. But yeah, that's what the palette looks like right now. It doesn't look too different, but there is a little bit more disturbance on some shades, so I'm quite happy. Okay, so this first one is called Alpha, and I used that once. This one you would think is a matte, but it actually is a satin. It's a really strange finish. It's nice, but it's not a pure matte like these two down below, so it was a little bit strange, so I used that once. This one is called Perseguia Suenos. This is a beautiful, beautiful shimmer, and this would have been the second one to hit pan on if I was going to be able to hit pan on it. If I was going to keep this palette in the project longer, then that would be probably the second one that I'd focus on, but I only used that one 3 times. This one here is called Toda la Vida, and this was one of my focus shades in this palette. So I was supposed to use this at least 5 times this month, and I used it 3 times. I just didn't want to do too many yellow looks. I did do a few right at the start of the month, and I really, really enjoyed those, but then I kind of lost interest and I was more into the pinks, to be honest, so I didn't use those. This next one is the one I hit pan in. I'm so annoyed you can't see it. Oh, there you can see it there. Can you see it? I hope you can. This one is called Eris El Mundo, and I used it 5 times. I hit pan on the 4th time, so that one is there. Yeah, they're very crumbly and soft, so it didn't take too long, honestly, to hit pan. But it is a beautiful gold shimmer there. Really, really beautiful. And then this next one I only used once. Yeah, I used that one once. La Diosa Coronada. Yep. And then this one is, I'm not going to say all the names because I'll be here forever. This next one I only used once. This one, I should have used more actually. I only used it once, but that is the same texture as these two, as well as this one and this one and this one. So yeah, the shimmers are really, really flaky, and I think that you could probably hit pan in them quite easily, because I really did hit pan in this quite easily. So this one I feel like is really beautiful, and I could have hit pan but didn't. This next one here I used twice. So yeah, this palette, I didn't put too much focus in because I was really concentrating on my MAC one, but I did use all the shades. So yeah, that one twice. This one I used twice as well. This last one over here, Ultra Demonios, I used 3 times. I actually really like this. I loved pairing this with this to get sort of a sunset look. I thought that was so delicious and so beautiful. It actually would be perfect with this lipstick, but I really, really liked that. This one down here I used twice. This next one, this beautiful pink shimmer, I only used once. It's more like actually a purpley shimmer. I actually should have used that a little bit more. It's like a topper, but it's really beautiful. Where am I? Amoras. I used this once. This one was the second focus shade that I had for this palette. So I was supposed to use it 5 times, and I used it 3 times. So I think 3 is a magical number normally for me, because I usually always say 3 in my other videos as well. It's usually always 3 unless I'm like really liking a shade. Yeah, I think this one was just far too pink for me. For what I wanted to do, it was just far too pink. And it was very, very similar to the MAC shade. The MAC shade had a little bit more of an orange to it, whereas this one was a little bit more vibrant pink, but they were quite similar. And, you know, I used the MAC one 3 times, it uses 3 times, so basically I used it 6 times, right? I mean, they were very similar. So yeah, that one was a bit of a shame. I probably shouldn't have rolled both of them in, but they looked different enough at the time. But when I actually started using them, this one was just a little bit more vibrant, but they really had the same tone, so I shouldn't have had both of them. This Omega I used twice, so that's the update. But I actually really like that this looks more loved than it did before. Especially just with all the rest of the shades, because before you could definitely see I used this one and this one, but not so much the rest of the shades. But all the shimmers look like they've been used now. The mattes are really quite powdery, but I have lost some indentation on some of them, maybe not so much these two. But yeah, I'm actually excited. I think it was a good month. I'm happy that I hit pan in both of the palettes. And I have 2 new pans in my collection. So yeah, I feel like this project is really helping me, because it's making me enjoy the palette as a whole. And then I naturally focus on a shade that A, maybe has more of a dent than others, or B, that I'm just enjoying more, or both, you know? So yeah. So I just had a hot water bottle on my back because I pulled my back earlier, so I'm like super sweaty right now. But now what we're going to do is we are going to choose 2 new palettes to roll in for this month, and then I will do a random number generator thingy, and I will figure out which shades in those palettes will be my focus ones, although I will work on all of them. All right, so I've got 553 shades, but as I said, whatever shade is in that palette, I will pick that palette, and then I'll roll again for my focus shades. So let's pick our palettes. So I've got 126 and 48. So let me just see which those are, and then we will roll again. Okay, so last month when I rolled this way, this palette was chosen, and this palette is already in one of my project pan projects. So I was like, I'm not going to do it, let's do it again. And it's just been rolled. So I think that's a sign that I should have it in both projects maybe. So yeah, my Yasmin palette, which I absolutely love from My Alley Beauty, was rolled again. And it might not be my focus shade or anything, but the shade Trunk was rolled, which, if you are familiar, on my channel last year when I did my pan nose eyeshadows, I actually had that in my pan nose eyeshadows. So the gods really just want me to pan this shade, and it is absolutely impossible. I used it so many times and I got no dent. But I think I'm just going to keep this palette in the project. I'm just going to do it. I really like it. And then the other palette that was picked is my e.l.f. Retro Paradise palette, which I really, really love. I do have a pan in this already, but that's fine. I just have the canvas one here, but I really, really love this palette. And it's been a while since I've used it. So, you know, it could go either way with this one. I could probably hit pan in maybe 3 different shades. I could hit pan in these 2 shades and probably this one up here, but most likely these 2, because I really like the disco shade. And I also really like the Fortuna and I have pretty good dips. I actually have a good dip in Paradiso, and also the sea salt. I really don't like it, but I feel like I could hit pan in that pretty easily as well. So this one might get a lot of good use. So that's actually an exciting one. The Yasmin palette, I feel like, ooh, this one would be really hard to hit pan apart from the shimmers. Now this one I've been actually debating if I want to depot it and just have it in like a magnetic palette, because I don't know, the packaging is pretty big. It's nice packaging, but I think these are the type of shades that I wouldn't mind having in a magnetic palette. It might be interesting. Just, I could definitely hit pan in maybe Munasa and one of these two, because I just really like them. I've actually been using these a lot in my child of the 80s. I think that's what is it, that I'm using this in my child of the 80s, which I actually have to film an update for. So maybe it'll roll out of that. You never know. You'll have to just watch it. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to start with this retro one just to pick my two focus shades. It'd be interesting if it's these two, because then I'll definitely be able to hit pan. But let me just write in 1 out of 18 and then we'll see what I get. So 7 and 18. Oh gosh. Okay, so 7 is this Dijon shade. This one is a good one to have as a focus. It is a matte. It is like this mustard Dijon color, but it's pretty good actually. I kind of like it, so I wouldn't mind having that as a focus shade. But then number 18 is the black. So I'm going to roll again because there's no way I'm going to be focusing on the black. I'm just probably going to hit that once and that's it. So let me just do that one more time. Okay, number 8. So the one right after Dijon is this sea salt, which I could hit pan on for sure. So this is like a shimmer topper, I would say. It's really, really light, but it's beautiful. Yeah, actually, I'm going to be able to definitely hit pan on this. It's just so soft and it's not really, like these pans are pretty shallow, I would say, like Beauty Bay shallow, maybe even like more shallow than Beauty Bay. So I think I could definitely hit pan on this, especially since the focus. I'm excited because I feel like I'm going to get a lot of pans on this. Super, super excited about that. And I love that palette, so that's a good one. And then yeah, the Yasmin, how many shades is in here? I never know. Okay, so there's 15 shades in here, so I'll do 1 out of 15. So do 6 and 12. Ooh, okay, so number 6 is this one. I think this one might be a little bit too similar to the Dijon, so it might be worth me rolling again. Let me just have a look. Oh no, it's much darker, so actually that should be fine as a focus. And then number 12, 15, 14. Oh, I'm gonna have to roll again. So number 12 is this white one. I can't have 2 white ones, although this one has more of it has like a purple shift, but I'm not gonna have 2 white ones. It's just silly. Or should I? I mean, it's not like a proper pan those eyeshadows. Like I could, they're just focus shades. Like why wouldn't I just have those? Isn't that funny though? I have 2 neutral mattes and then 2 white ones. You can't even see this Munasa one. It is so light. Let me just swatch that again because that wasn't a very good swatch. Can you see it now? It is just so light, that Munasa, but they're both very similar. They're both really crumbly and I feel like I could hit pan on both of them. I'm gonna keep it because I'm gonna use both palettes, and yes, they're both colorful. Oh, colorful. They're both colorful, but I feel like they kind of complement each other pretty nicely. There's a lot of neutrals in them. Obviously the e.l.f. has the blues, and then this one has got the greens. So yes, I'm excited actually. Really, really colorful. Not something that you would expect in February, but honestly, I'm not sticking to like the seasons right now. If I want to do a pink look, I will do a pink look. But yeah, I'm excited about these two. So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Which shades do you think I'm going to hit pan in, if any of these? I definitely think I'm going to be able to show progress in both of them. I'm actually super excited about that. That's why I like this project, because I'm pulling a whole palette and then I'm like, oh, what can I do in a whole palette? Like that's exciting to me as opposed to just one shade and one random palette. And I'm like, what do I do with this? No, this is really exciting to me. So yeah, I'm so excited to see what I do. And yeah, hopefully this was a good update. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you would like to, and I'll see you next time. Bye.